Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Ezra Miller could face up to 26 years in prison.
But he probably won't.
Big if, yes. Ezra Miller pleading guilty to burglary charges in Vermont. We don't think Ezra Miller is actually... Does anybody think Ezra Miller is actually going to go to jail?
I don't know. I'll tell you why. Other stuff went away. But if Warner Brothers market this as Ezra Miller's final film before being gone to prison for years, they might make more money. They may let it happen.
Ezra Miller's last stand. Ezra Miller's final fling.
I'm just saying, if they could do that, people would probably come to see it because, oh my God, I want to see Ezra Miller because he went to jail. And they thought they could make more money off of it that way. They might let it go through.
Anyway, we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 277,000 subs. Thank you for the support. We've been talking about the Ezra Miller situation. It's just so weird. I mean, just to give you a really quick recap, Ezra Miller is crazy. And that's the recap. No, actually, Ezra Miller has... caused lots of drama for Warner Brothers, has been abused.
He has complex medical health issues.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's they, them.
I'm sorry. Them. What are you worried about? Isn't that you said he was, they were crazy. Is that you didn't say the right pronoun. They have complex mental health issues that include being they, them when it's convenient for they, them.
That is actually a very good observation. We've made that observation before. Ezra Miller, to me, does not come off as being non-binary 24/7. It seems like Ezra Miller throws out the they, them pronouns, claims to be trans whenever Ezra Miller gets in trouble.
Right, and that's insulting to those who completely use they, them pronouns for legitimate reasons.
It's all kinds of bad shit. Ezra Miller is all kinds of bad shit. Choke slammed a woman in Iceland.
The Flash.
Had a cult or something going on in Iceland, and now
apparently in Vermont.
And
accused of taking the Native American girl and grooming her, and then trying to orders of protection against him for another child.
I mean, it's just there are too many things that have gone wrong with Ezra Miller in the last
Hawaii.
Oh, we forgot about Hawaii. How could we forget Hawaii?
He went on a Fist of Fury spree in Hawaii.
We'll always have Hawaii, yeah. Now Ezra Miller also thinks they, them is Jesus.
Oh, that's right. The Messiah.
Yeah, so I have to wonder if they're not trying to build an insanity case here to get Ezra Miller off. There's so many jokes that could be...
Okay.
Because Ezra Miller likes to get off.
Apparently.
A lot. Mostly with women, young girls... involving weed and guns as the story goes. Anyway, coming from Variety, Ezra Miller pleads not guilty to burglary charges in Vermont, faces up to 26 years. 26 years in prison. It's not going to happen. The Flash star Ezra Miller pleaded not guilty to burglary charges in a Vermont court Monday morning. Miller, who's charged with burglary into an occupied home and petty larceny, faces up to 26 years in prison if
it's a big if here.
And
that's up to.
If convicted of both.
That's like the max.
Charges. Yeah.
So they'll probably get it. They don't want to look too bad. So if they do let him go to prison, let them go to prison, it'll probably be like, 2 years probation or 2 years of prison, just so that people will come to see the movie so they can say, oh, look, it's their last movie for a while.
Miller appeared in Bennington Superior Court virtually with their lawyer. The actor is accused of breaking into a residence in Stamford, Vermont on May 1st after investigating at the time. Vermont State Police had discovered several missing bottles of alcohol from the property while the homeowners were not present. So this is what, of all the shit he's done, they've done, of all the shit they've done, this is what takes down Ezra Miller, stealing booze.
And it was less than $900 worth.
It's like taking down Al Capone with tax evasion.
I think it was less than I know. Well, hey, you gotta do what works. It's less than $900 worth. It's like they could have paid for that easily.
Yes, it's the thrill.
They got accused of breaking into homes in Hawaii. But how come those all just went away? All the other stuff just kind of went away. This is the one that, because apparently Vermont's going to hold them to it.
I thought you said that they were going to get accused of breaking necks in Iceland, but that's, of all the stuff Ezra Miller, all the crazy shit Ezra Miller's done, this is what could end Ezra. After collecting statements and reviewing surveillance footage, police charged Miller with felony burglary. Felony burglary.
Was it usually over $400, $500? It's a felony.
Yeah. The petty larceny charges state that the stolen items were less than $900 in total value. The felony burglary charge has a maximum of 25 years in prison and a $1,000 maximum fine. The larceny charge is a maximum of 1 year and a similar $1,000 fine.
They'll drop the burglary probably. No, that is burglary.
He's Jesus, and he was going to turn water into wine, but then he realized he couldn't turn water into wine, so he had to break into somebody's house and steal some wine. The
only wine they got was themselves whining. You can't touch me. I'm
too fast. I'm
what?
God, you can't touch me. I'm God. I'm somewhere else. What was he saying? Like
I'm an alternate dimension or something. I forget.
Miller agreed to not have any contact with the homeowner or return to the residence. The Vermont charges were just a couple of the controversies and legal issues facing Miller in recent months. The actor was arrested in Hawaii twice within 1 month's time, first for disorderly conduct and harassment, and then for second-degree assault.
Wait. So they pled to no contest and the assault charges and paid a $500 fine. I know how that feels. But this is worse because this is a person they went to their house and assaulted them, or there's this one. There's a couple of different assault things they did. $500 fine, and that is true. I hate to say it, but you can assault somebody and only get a $500 fine.
So we can probably talk about that. We're not naming names, right?
Right.
We're not naming names. So a couple of months ago, Geeky got into an altercation over a parking spot.
I was not the aggressor.
She was not the aggressor. She was in public. I
was not a space that we were told by the landlord we were allowed to park in.
Yes. The owner of the building that we were at said you can park in this place, and another tenant disagreed with that assessment.
Figured that was their assigned spot. And when I came out to go to the car, they started verbally attacking me. And to which point I said, and I was actually pretty nice, all things considered. I was like, no, I'm allowed to park here. You can, I was told I could park here. And then where they started calling me all kinds of names. It's how I picture someone on Twitter to behave. You effing biatch, I'll say fucking bitch. You don't live here, I do, all this other crap. I was like, oh my God. So I said I was going to call the building manager. And when I took pictures and video of this person acting like a nut too, by the way. And I said I was leaving to call the building manager. And on my way out, I said, oh, and by the way, I'm not leaving. I have to go call the building manager. And at that point, all I hear is this woman behind me. Now, meanwhile, there's little kids around and they're crying and stuff and they're freaking out. So this woman who was a lot older than me, by the way, so an older woman, starts running at me. By running, I mean older person running. And I hear screaming. I turn around. All of a sudden, and there's this like shorter, older woman, like fist like flailing at me and hitting me. Grabs me and starts pounding me with one fist. And I'm just like caught off guard, but I'm also like, what the hell? No, I'm clearly stronger than this person. So I grab this person by the wrist so they can't hurt myself or themselves. Because also there's children crying the entire time watching.
Yeah, her grandchildren are watching grandma beat up Geeky in the parking lot.
And then their dad's yelling that she's going to get arrested. So it's just making the kids cry harder. And I don't want the kids to be upset. So I'm trying to keep her like locked in position so she doesn't hurt anyone. But she starts to kick me with her leg. Eventually,
like a toddler, like a toddler. Yeah. And
eventually, her son came over and got hold of her. But when he got hold of her, he broke the grip. And when he did, she swung over and punched me in the face. I was like, "What the hell?" So I did call the police, obviously. And from my understanding, after all this and physical assault, all this. I had marks like cuts and stuff like that. They got fined $500.
Yeah, I was inside the building. I was not there. I did not. I didn't even. I thought it was a joke. You came in, or no, actually, Squid came to me and said, "Hey, Mom got beat up by an old lady in the parking lot." And I'm like,
I didn't get beat up. It was mostly just getting, most of what I got, my hits were because I could have taken her ass out so easy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But I didn't because her grandkids were there and they were crying. And I didn't, and my luck, as soon as I fought back, I'd be the one who would get arrested. So I was just
she totally was the type.
I was just like, you know what? I'll just hold you off. And I could have taken that down so easily, but I didn't. And they got fined $500. And I was like, wait, so you can literally walk up to somebody and beat them up apparently and only get fined $500. I mean, I think it depends if there's cameras present.
Yeah, there weren't any cameras in this. Yeah. So
I was just like very shocked. So when I see they only got fined $500, it's most likely true.
Yeah, it's stupid cheap for what it is. And on a more positive note, she did get thrown out of the apartment building.
That's true.
Yeah, because you can't have tenants that just beat up random people that show up and park in a spot that's not your spot. It's not good for it's not a good look, right? Anyway, the harassment charges were dismissed. Miller is accused of choking one woman in an Icelandic bar and harassing another woman in her home in Berlin. In August, Miller apologized for their past behavior and began undergoing mental health treatment. Probably when Miller got to the point where it's like, I'm Jesus. They're like, oh, Jesus, this is...
I don't understand how it got to that point. I mean...
It never should have gotten to that point. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. Ezra Miller is a crazy motherfucker. That's basically it. I want to apologize to everyone I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage of my life.
What is upsetting to most people, and I'm saying most people, I don't care which way you lean politically or whatever, pretty much everybody is united in the fact that Miller is off the deep end. No one can understand why Miller could do all the things that they did, and then Warner Brothers is going to continue to, cover for them, protect them, and everything else. Because everybody thinks that Miller needs to be accountable for their actions.
Yeah, and it comes down to money. I don't think anybody there likes Ezra Miller. I think it's just like, we spent $300 million on The Flash. We can't lose that money. Because it's a Flash movie. It's a big tentpole film with Michael Keaton in it and all this other stuff. And they were kind of betting on that to either, reboot the DCEU or whatever. But yeah, they're not going to torch it like Batgirl. Batgirl was basically made for TV. And they're like, yeah, we can't release this one theatrically anyway. It's not going to make any money. But this one, they have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on. They were still doing reshoots as of a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, again, not to drag Johnny Depp into it.
I was just going to bring the same thing up.
But compare the situation with Johnny Depp where there were just allegations from his ex-wife, and we have all kinds of proof that Ezra Miller actually did this shit, and they're like, oh, yep, this is fine. This is fine.
Accusations will fire you, will buy out your contract or remove you from the film. But, in this situation... we'll just cover for you.
Yeah, and that is truly insane. I mean, you want to talk about insane, the fact that this studio will cover for Ezra. In fact, I saw an article out there the other day. It was just like 2 or 3 days ago, and they said that Ezra Miller is a prime example of Hollywood protecting its own.
You know what else is insane? That horrible shirt.
What is that? That's
like a
wallpaper.
An old lady purse.
Yeah, an old lady purse.
Wallpaper, yes, wallpaper for sure.
Or wallpaper, but no, here it is. It was Issa Rae said, Ezra Miller is a clear example of the lengths that Hollywood will go to save itself and to protect offenders. And if you said this about Ezra Miller 5 years ago, given how Ezra Miller identifies, you would have been tarred and feathered. You would have been told you were a Nazi, a big whatever. And here we have somebody that claims to have all of these check boxes and really should be locked up in a mental institution. And it's like...
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be, at least for a couple of years till they get this thing sorted out, because definitely needs help.
There are too many enablers for there to be real change. She said people have to be held accountable. Well, that's just it. Why should they? And again, just to show the difference, Johnny Depp allegations, gets fired off of Fantastic Beasts. They buy his contract out. I mean, he gets paid either way. Has his career completely destroyed. He's dragged through the mud. Ezra Miller can physically assault people, start a cult, claim he's Jesus,
This
drugs
is what
and
they're
guns.
saying. There's this person who's a repeat offender who's been behaving atrociously and as opposed to shutting them down and shutting the production down, there's an effort to save the movie and them. That is a clear example of the lengths that Hollywood will go to save itself and to protect offenders. So don't do that, and women may be able to thrive. And talked about being women and being fear kept in silence. We saw this with Harvey Weinstein. Women were afraid to say anything because they were afraid that it would ruin their career.
Yeah.
But Miller can go out there and do all this crazy shit, and Miller, like, it will probably, let's be honest, it'll suddenly go away, or it'll get dropped down to like the one charge for a year, and it'll probably be like probation, unless Warner Brothers thinks they can make more money and get people in the film if they actually let him go to jail. If they can market it as, hey, it's Miller's last film for a while, they thought they can cash in on that. They'll let that happen. Otherwise, it'll be very little of anything.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up, I think.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.